Good morning. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Nice fine day here. It's starting to get cold where I am, but I like the cold, so that's fine. Excuse me. I've just got a topic that I wanted to talk about. I was reading a book the other day, as I'm prone to do, and I came across this idea, and I thought it was quite interesting. Actually, it was something I hadn't sort of really thought about in a real strong way. But when I did start sort of delving into it, I thought it was quite interesting. It's this concept of enough, and what it was to do with is really it was around finance that I was writing, that I was reading about. Trying to sort of understand when is enough. There was a couple of examples there where they had, and this is just to set the context really, sort of $100 million people, and yet they were still going off and doing stuff. And there's a couple of examples, in the 90s and the 2000s where people of this, with this sort of wealth, and then they started doing sort of illegal things like insider trading and Ponzi schemes and those sort of things, just because they didn't really have that understanding of when enough was enough for them. And that's something that I think we all need to sort of understand a little bit. It is to do with money that I was reading this, but I think it's also in the case of a lot of other things. But I think it comes back to, that idea of power, money, wealth, all of those sort of things. When is enough? Because I think one of the traps that we certainly have when we're dealing with ourselves is we're always wanting more. We're always wanting that next step. We're always comparing ourselves to the next level. So, and it's always that comparison stuff that always gets us into that sort of pickle, as it were. We might compare ourselves to the neighbours we're at now or colleagues at work. And then when we change neighbourhoods, and it might be to the better, hopefully, it may not be. We're then comparing ourselves with those. And if those people are in slightly better circles, more affluent, or whatever it happens to be, then we start to sort of think, oh, we don't have enough now, and so on and so forth. And I think this is a real internal thing where you actually have to look at yourself and sort of say, well, when is that point when I have enough? And I don't need to keep on striving. I just need to stay where I am. And it's something that I struggle with as well, because obviously, for those of you who've been watching, I've had a few different things happen to me, redundancy and stuff, and other things. And I've had other things in terms of financial, because this is what I was really reading it for, financial areas to really sort of try and I'm always sort of feeling like I always have to keep on going. And I'm also have that sort of scarcity mentality as well, where you're always thinking you just don't have that enough. And it's only when somebody else looks at what you've got and what you think, and they sort of like shake their head and sort of say, well, haven't you got enough, or isn't this enough for you, or don't you feel like you're well on your way, or whatever it happens to be. And I think sometimes you do need that outside input to sort of to sometimes focus you back on what is actually the real situation, because you can sometimes keep on going, and you're probably doing yourself some sort of disservice, whether you're getting yourself mentally fatigued, physically fatigued, giving yourself emotional stress, mental stress, because you keep on trying to strive and get, when actually you've hit a point where you are happy, and you should now turn that around and sort of say, okay, all I've got to do now is just keep what I've got, enjoy what I have, and try and keep going in this sort of vein. So it was an interesting sort of book that I was reading, and I'll probably talk about it a little bit in a moment. But this concept of enough was really quite fascinating for me, because, as I said, I struggle with that as well. I constantly think that I need more, and I need more. And I think where this can lead to is if you start to do more and you've stretched your resources to the point where you can only do so much yourself, you're either going to go down the road of doing something wrong, because it's the only way that you can do it, or you take yourself even further and exhaust yourself even more because you're trying to strive or you get yourself into a point where you're leveraging other people's goodwill or money or time. And then that puts a huge new lot of stress on you as well. So I think this concept of enough is probably something that people need to think about and sort of think about themselves. Are you striving for a real reason, or are you striving because you can't look around and see that you have, at this point in time, enough to do everything that you want to? And maybe you need to start thinking differently about things, and look at those things that are actually going well in your life. So have a little bit of think about that. I know this it was a bit of a weird topic because I think there's a lot of stuff that I've still got to unpack with this as well myself. But I think it's really quite interesting to sort of have a sort of an understanding of what this concept is about enough. Anyway, I hope that was interesting. Hope that was useful. Hope to talk to you again soon.